Thank you so much. All right, hi everybody. Let's start with a question. I want you to think about an iconic moment in space history. What comes to mind? What is in your mind when you're thinking about those iconic moments? Is it Sputnik? Is it perhaps Apollo 11 and Buzz Aldrin standing on the moon? Are you thinking about Blue Origin or SpaceX successfully launching and then landing their first stage booster? Personally, I love the selfie that Curiosity took from the surface of Mars. The sheer ingenuity of that particular mission and the PR genius of positioning this $2.5 billion rover on social media. It was absolutely brilliant. But of course, these moments, they represent the beauty, the adventure, and the risk that's inherent in the space industry. Because for every single one of these successes, there were failures. And in some cases, tragic failures. But the people who were involved, the people who work to expand our human experience in space, they don't give up. No, they collect data. They reassess. They recalibrate, and then they try again. Because when you're pursuing bold moments like this, the ability to navigate risk, and just as importantly, the ability to come back after failure, these are essential. Now, I suspect for many of you, these moments, and others like them, they influenced your decision to pursue a career in the space industry, right? They certainly did for me. You know, after a lot of zigs and zags that we won't go into right now, I ultimately decided to become a patent attorney and then a government contracts attorney with a focus on aerospace and defense and that intersection between the government and commercial space capabilities. I moved to Colorado. I started working with satellite integrators and launch providers. I worked on proposals for NASA's Commercial Crew Program. And over the years, I developed a successful practice working with my space industry clients to help them kind of peek around corners and navigate risk. It was dreamy. Truly, I loved it. And then Facebook called. Facebook called and said, we're working on our own bold initiative in Connectivity Lab, where we want to bring the internet to the more than 3 billion unconnected people in this world. They said that they were working on technologies that would fly in the stratosphere, that would orbit the Earth, and they wanted to license it for free. How could I say no? How could I say no? Except there was a catch. They weren't looking for a lawyer. No, what they wanted was someone who knew the space industry, someone who understood the players, understood the technologies, but they wanted me on the business and operations side. So I took an enormous leap. And after all those years, I left the practice of law. And I moved my family to Menlo Park, California, and I walked into an entirely new world. My job now was to help a company with zero experience, zero history in the space industry build high-altitude UAVs, develop advanced satellite communications, and partner with industry to catalyze delivery of global connectivity in ways that have never been done before. It was exhilarating, and it was hard. It was hard. Less than 4 months after I started, one of our satellites blew up on the launch pad. I mean, we were working with unknowns every single day. Every day, we had to take these incremental, bold steps, these incremental risks. We were working with these unknowns, and our data could not tell us exactly what was going to happen. We had to extrapolate, right? We had to pull what we could, and then be decisive, and then act. And when things didn't go the way we wanted, well, we had to do it again. I'm really glad that I had that experience. I did it because I was able to pull myself out of a comfort zone and leave the cozy private practice that I had created for myself and go discover and explore what for me was uncharted territory. So, I have another question for you. How do you navigate risk? How do you do it? When things go wrong, how do you bring yourself back? Do you practice little risks just every once in a while? How do you do it? I mean, I know this is a personal question for you, but can you answer it? I mean, the velocity of change right now in the space industry is astounding, and you, as future space leaders, you sit in a very unique position. You and your peers, you are going to shape and develop the global space economy. I mean, those are three very powerful words. The global space economy. That is thrilling. You are going to do the unprecedented. It's exciting, but it can also feel risky. But I'm here to tell you, the ability to gauge those risks, to understand the benefits and what's at stake, and then make a plan, act, be decisive, even if you are not 100% sure of what's going to happen, it is very important for your career development. You've got to practice risk. And here's why. As you practice risk, you gain insights that improve your predictive ability, which then informs future risk-taking. Basically, the more you do it, the better you're going to be at it, right? And I know I am not the first person to even stand here and tell you, take risks, go take risks. But it sounds big and important, right? But really, what does it mean? How do you act on it? I am not oversimplifying it when I say it starts with you and your mindset and the way that you manage yourself, when you are navigating the unknowns. And the way that you get there, the way that you work on that, is taking the smaller risks, finding things that are less consequential. Set the big stuff aside, right? Find those smaller risks that take you outside of your comfort zone and give you those opportunities to learn to focus your mind. Don't get distracted by the what-ifs, because those what-ifs, that's where you get stuck in inaction, and that is not going to help you in your career. You learn how to find what you know, place it in context with what you don't know, make a plan, and be decisive. So, can we practice? Can we do a really quick practice on risk right now? Just a little example. We all know that networking is important, right? You've heard it here today. Networking is really important. A network will expand your knowledge base, and when things go wrong, your network is going to be your safety net. And I will tell you, unequivocally, my network is my most valuable resource. I rely on it every single day. But for many people, the thought of walking up to a complete stranger and introducing yourself is uncomfortable, if not downright terrifying. But this is the kind of small risk I'm talking about, where you step outside of that comfort zone and you get yourself to do something that really is a little scary. So let's run a scenario, right? We are here at Satellite 2020. Some of the biggest, boldest, brightest players in the space industry are here right now. Imagine that you're at a networking event. Many of you will be, right? You see somebody across the room, somebody that you admire, someone you'd really like to meet. How do you get yourself to move across the floor and go introduce yourself? Of course, you're going to weigh it, right? The benefit, you meet this cool person. With the stakes, you might get embarrassed. What do you say to yourself to get yourself to go across the room? While you think about it, here's what I would do. I would, if I had one, get a business card ready. I would look at that person I would approach, and I would say, "Hi, my name is Janna Lewis. I have been fascinated by your work on fusion power, and especially the Epstein drive. Could we exchange cards? Would that be okay? I'd like to set a time and maybe get your ideas on any advice you have for new professionals in the industry." This Miss Superstar, she says, "Of course." You exchange cards, you follow up By email, you set a time for coffee, your contact is made, that bold move pays off, and you've just practiced one of those small risks. Good job. So, what if we change the scene a little bit? We switch it around. And you approach Ms. Superstar, and instead of taking your card, she brushes you off. Or you hand your card to another person that you admire, and you later see them drop your card in the garbage can. What do? Right? How do you feel? That feels awful, doesn't it? You've just put yourself out there, you've been vulnerable, and it didn't work out. But the ability to recover after something like that, the ability to get yourself back in, and in this circumstance, go back and start networking again. Go find someone else, right? How do you get yourself to do that? The ability to do it is imperative. And in fact, that ability to reset, come back after failure is so important that every senior industry professional that I know has a reset practice. They have a way to bring themselves back into the game when something goes wrong. So, in preparing for this talk with you guys, I reached out to my friends in the industry, hello network, right? And I said to them, what do you do? How do you bring yourself back? What is your reset practice? And here's what a few of them had to say. Erica Wagner, she is the payload sales director at Blue Origin. She said she snuggles her golden retriever, she indulges in dark chocolate until she's cleared her mind and plans. Bing Kung, he is the extraterrestrial program manager at Facebook, and yes, that is a real title. He goes back to the old school feel of graph paper and pencils to plot his learnings and his next steps. David Hansel, he's the head of global aerospace policy at Google's Loon. He does woodworking and maybe bakes a cake. Now, of course, the point is not how these amazing people reset. The point is that they have a reset practice. They engage in these uncomfortable things. They know risk and failure, and they can bring themselves back. And when you do that, and the people who have those practices, then they are able to move when they need to move fast. And when a career requires a bold move, they have the tools and the self-knowledge necessary to be decisive and act. Now, I would love to tell you that my personal reset practice is sophisticated. It's not. I binge watch on sci-fi shows with a big box of Cheez-Its and a glass of bourbon. And I will tell you, months before I knew Cass Ambar was going to MC this event, something went wrong at work. I had a setback, and I binge-watched The Expanse. I'm telling you the truth, I did. And it was so good. It was so good that I watched all 4 seasons in less than 3 months. And yes, you're right, that is a lot of Cheez-Its, and never mind the bourbon. It was terrific. Now, I hope that your reset practice is healthier than mine. I hope you have a reset practice, and if you don't, go get one. Because if you do, that means you are practicing those little risks. You are practicing so that you are preparing. Now, just as I left private practice to go to Facebook, I recently took a new risk, and I've returned to the practice of law to help Northrop Grumman position its vast technology portfolio for these amazing changes that we're talking about today, and I don't know, maybe in these future iconic moments. But I think you all are hearing today, and you know this intuitively, that what's happening in the space industry is amazing. It's exciting. And as you get more involved in it, one of the best things that you can do for yourself is be decisive. Don't get stuck in the analysis. Be smart, definitely be smart. Be bold, and then act. And when you need to, act again and again and again. Because I can assure you 100% that everybody in the space industry wants you to succeed. You have tremendous, tremendous support. Leverage it. Leverage the time that you have here and every single day to build that tool set for risk-taking, for decisiveness, and for coming back after failure, so that when the time comes, you are going to be prepared to influence the incredible future of space. And you're going to do great. Thank you so much.